Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Atlanta News First Plus. Here to give you a check of the first alert forecast. We are tracking colder weather moving in and rain moving out. Though it is still very gloomy this evening, we had widespread rain, showers, thunderstorms this morning. Really loud, booming thunder, especially on the north side. Pretty much everybody picking up at least 1/2 of an inch of rain. Some folks more than 2 inches, especially up into the mountains of North Georgia. Also on the far south side of the Atlanta News First viewing area, LaGrange, Troup, and Heard counties over to Upson County, picking up a decent amount of rain. And outside right now, we are socked in with gloom. It is a chilly pea soup sort of evening out there. This is actually a live look from the Atlantic building in Atlantic Station, looking across the connector. That's the big roadway at the bottom of your screen, trying to see Midtown, but we cannot. Visibility has dropped off, lots of drizzle, and we do have some patchy areas of fog, and I think that patchy drizzle and fog will continue this evening. Again, that is a live look outside, not a dirty camera lens or dome around the lens. It is just a plain old pea soup sort of evening. And we're chatting with folks on Facebook and on YouTube, Atlanta News First, the account to like and follow. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, Uniquely Yvette, good evening to you. Michael Baxter, good evening. Wesley Millsap, hello to you. Watching from Ackworth, again, thank you for watching. If you're just now tuning in, my name is Cutter Martin, a meteorologist here at Atlanta News First, and we're streaming across many platforms right now, AtlantaNewsFirst.com and the Atlanta News First app, the First Alert Weather app, Roku, Amazon Fire. And social media-wise, we're on Facebook right now. We're also on YouTube Live, and we have folks watching on both accounts. And again, I do appreciate the viewership. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you do have any weather questions, comments, concerns, just give me a quick holler on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll occasionally be, looking down at the monitors and we'll holler back with any answers that I may have. Let's take you to First Alert Radar right now. Again, we're talking about how we have a lot of drizzle, and we're now picking that up on radar a little bit across Metro Atlanta. We'll zoom down in. It's kind of spritzy. It's come and go. At times, the drizzle is very steady, and that visibility drops off. And then other times, we're kind of out of the drizzle, and the visibility improves just a little bit. So it's patchy inside the perimeter I-285, but let's take you to the west side of town. More light rain developing and moving eastward. So if you have evening plans, maybe trying to do a Sunday grocery trip and you were slammed with activities all day long and you're just now getting that chance, you will be driving into some more rain. Timing this more substantial round of drizzle and light rain into the metro, into the Bremen community 813, Estelle 851, Carrollton 907, Atlanta proper, that is downtown Atlanta, looking at 926, 945 East Point, same for the airport. So the Sunday evening flights, probably not too much of a delay. Most of the rough stuff has passed the major hubs in the southeast, including Atlanta, but still some drizzle, some low visibility. So can't rule out some delays out there, especially trying to fly out of the city of Atlanta, or the airport here, of course, in Atlanta here. And proof is in the picture, live outside right now, looking from Atlantic Station back towards Midtown and downtown Atlanta. Cannot see the buildings, can barely even see the connector there on the lower left-hand side of your screen. And we're going to be tracking more drizzle and some lower visibility as this rain moves in from the west. Temperatures, saving grace today. If it had been warmer, if we had seen peaks of sunshine, we probably would have had a greater risk of some strong to severe storms, especially on the south side, but we did not. The wedge won out. Definitely that was the case today. Temperatures on the north and east sides of town. Coolest right now, Gainesville 43, Blairsville 47, Athens 44, some upper 30s up into the upstate of South Carolina. 49 at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, 50 Rome, and in Carrollton, 56 our warm spot, but still cool down in LaGrange. You all did see some stronger storms earlier today down in far southern Troup County, northern Harris County. We did have some reports of some trees knocked down in the West Point community. Some folks on social media reporting that have not seen pictures, and it was really just limited to West Point that we heard of, at least, but most of us avoiding any sort of strong to severe thunderstorm activity, just good old-fashioned booming thunderstorms with heavy rain and chilly temperatures this morning. Temperature change. Temperature now compared to the same time yesterday, we are running cooler, 10 to 15 degrees so, from Atlanta up to Canton. Basically along and east of 75 is where you're noticing the biggest difference in temperature. And as we go hour by hour through the rest of the evening, again, that chance of drizzle, and some patchy light rain is in the first alert forecast. It is first alert. Yes, you may be dealing with some of that here for the next little bit, but I do think in general the amount of rain that we do see is going to be relatively light, and we're not forecasting it to have too much of an impact to plan. So as we get into the deeper into the 8 o'clock hour and certainly by the 9 and the 10 o'clock hours, yes, it's still going to be a little bit damp out there, but we're going to bring down that chance of some more substantial rain in the first alert forecast. And forecast temperatures, notice those right now, running from the mid to upper 40s to the 50s southwest. So models doing a good job depicting what temperatures are, where they are right now, and I think it has a decent handle on the overnight forecast. Lots of clouds, patchy drizzle. Just because you don't see green on the screen doesn't mean you won't see any rain. Some of this drizzle is kind of sneaking in underneath the radar beam, and the forecast model, the computer we look at, having a little bit of trouble depicting it. So I do think, definitely, even though you don't see any green, there will be some patchy fog, patchy drizzle through maybe midnight, 2 a.m. with temperatures in the low to mid 40s by then. More of a northerly breeze. There we go. In the forecast early tomorrow morning, and that'll help lift the fog, clear us out just a bit. It's going to be chilly, upper 30s to near 40 or so up in the mountains of far north Georgia. 41 Canton, so even the north side, dipping into the upper 30s, right around 40, lower 40s. You get inside the perimeter, I think, a little mid 40s, a little bit more common. And Weedawee, Alabama, Randolph County area. To LaGrange, Troop, and Heard counties, mid 40s, Griffin, mid 40s, Covington, Athens, low to mid 40s. Not too different from where you are right now. By 11 a.m., we're still chilly, 40s across the board, even in the city of Atlanta. Still upper 40s heading into the lunch hour. I think we will crack 50s. We get into noon, 1 p.m. in the city of Atlanta and most of the immediate metro. But if you live on the north side, Canton, Cherokee County, upper 40s, lower 40s, Blairsville, mid to upper 40s, Dalton and Rome. And that's about as warm as we'll get. I think, technically the city of Atlanta will shoot up into the mid to upper 50s briefly. We'll get there. Upper 40s, lower 50s up in the mountains, but we're not there long. Already starting to cool back into the low to mid 50s by 6 p.m. And I think upper 40s to near 50s, 7 p.m. And notice there are flurries up in Tennessee, the mountains of North Carolina, the highest of elevations. Would not be too surprised if our North Georgia mountains, I'm talking the highest elevations, Young Harris, some of those areas, Lumpkin County, the highest elevations there. The mountaintops in Rabun County, over towards Dalton. Your higher elevations, well north of I-20, and really along our border counties there, up along the state line. You could see some sleet pellets, maybe a flurry or two with the breeze, the chilly temperatures, the passing clouds, highest elevations, and certainly no accumulation. Max, good evening to you on YouTube. Thanks for watching again. We're streaming many platforms, social media-wise. We're on YouTube Live right now and on Atlanta News First on the Facebook account. And if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give me a holler. Checking in on Facebook as well. Hello, Brenda Arrington is watching from Conyers. Valerie Lee Camp saying, I guess my azaleas will freeze. They just started to bloom. Max, again, hello to you as well on Facebook. Valerie, I wouldn't worry too much, but yes, things like azaleas, they may drop their blooms. It could get cold enough, upper 20s, lower 30s, to see some bloom shedding, maybe some minor burn. Minor, though, but I don't think it's a big deal. And in reality, they will bloom again. Basically, they'll restart the process. I don't think we're going to see any mass destruction of azaleas and some of the other spring perennials that we so count on to make this part of the year beautiful. But I do think there could be some minor burn on the really sensitive plants. Azaleas may be okay, but could obviously drop some blooms, and then we'll warm back up, and hopefully they'll repeat that process. And really not too worried about overall plant health. This is not a widespread hard freeze. It's a light freeze and a frost for much of metro Atlanta. Max saying, is it true that it will snow? No snow in the forecast, but we are going to be watching not this week, but next week. Not this coming Wednesday, but the following Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, another impactful storm system, maybe some storms. And on the cold side, there could be some wintry weather, but no indication that that's going to, fall or occur here in North Georgia and metro Atlanta. But something we'll be watching, Max, but no snow is in the forecast, just plain old chilly. And that really kind of begins tomorrow with temperatures tomorrow evening about this time back into the 40s quickly, 8 p.m. with a breeze. So a brisk Monday evening's in the forecast. If your kiddos, your students, family members, loved ones have plans or activities or sports practices outside tomorrow evening, it will be chilly. And here comes round number one of the really cold stuff as we get into Tuesday morning, partly cloudy, 20s and lower 30s. 20s mainly up to the mountains of North Georgia, and a hard freeze. It would be below 28 or below for, a few hours is kind of the rough definition of a hard freeze. And we're not really looking at that right now, but a light freeze is expected. Blairsville, some of our highest elevation communities, could see a hard freeze, but, they're well up in the mountains at higher elevation, a little bit more used to it, and their vegetation is certainly more ready for that sort of cold condition this time of year. In fact, I made a map. And this is kind of like a general outlook for that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning period, looking at the coldest possible conditions. And where you see the deepest blue, Ellijay, Helen, Ivy Log, Clayton, Gilmer County area, that is where hard freeze is possible. Mainly the highest elevations, so valley floors, not looking really at a hard freeze, but the higher elevations. But then again, your typical colder spots, sometimes in this setup, you can see the coldest conditions in the valleys. So if you are in a valley that in this setup tends to be a little colder than the higher elevations, with that cold air drainage, remember cold air is dense, it tends to sink and could settle down in the valleys. You could have a hard freeze in the forecast across North Georgia. For the rest of us, and I do mean far North Georgia, the mountains of North Georgia, the rest of us, Canton, Dallas, Carrollton, Folsom, Alabama, Randolph, and Cleburne counties, McDonough, Madison, Athens, Clark County, Oconee County as well, Morgan County, light freeze is in the first alert forecast. Temperatures 29 to 32, coldest Wednesday morning. And you see that little bit of white inside the perimeter, I-285. I think temperatures more likely to be 30 to 34 inside the perimeter, and we may officially escape a freeze at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, but can't totally rule it out. So Gardeners, if you did kind of jump the gun a little bit and maybe plan a little bit early, you're going to want to cover the sensitive stuff, move it in to the garage, move it into your maybe sunroom, or just cover it up with a sheet, a blanket, or maybe a freeze cloth if you go all the way and you want to purchase something. But it's not looking like the type of freeze that kills everything. I know peach farmers, we ran a story yesterday from the Augusta area about peaches, peach trees blooming 7 to 10 days ahead of schedule. This isn't a super hard freeze. Would think there wouldn't be too much damage here, but goes to show, sometimes we can have those mild stretches that come to an abrupt end, and this does look like one of those cases where we do see colder weather kind of snap us back to reality and make us realize that it's going to get pretty chilly, and we're looking at those chilly conditions not just for one night, but actually for a few nights coming up. Here is that 7-day forecast laying out the extended outlook for you right now. We do have that first alert Tuesday, a freezing start in the morning, and just as cold Wednesday morning. But, the alert is Tuesday, kind of the first day. We just want to give you that first day heads up that, hey, this is going to be something for a few days to watch. Wednesday up to 60, the moderation, the warming trend begins. Thursday 66, next storm system in the forecast. Friday, St. Patrick's Day, first alert, rain and storms could interrupt some St. Patrick's Day plans. Tanya Belcher, there's a big storm with gusts up to 60 on the GFS on the 21st. She's one run of one forecast model, and we have seen similar outlooks by that model in particular over the past few weeks, and for them to not pan out. Now, we do think there's going to be another system. A lot of data suggests that, yes, we're going to have some cold air in place. We're going to continue, Tanya, to have this kind of active southern stream, kind of ejecting storm system after storm system across the south central and southeastern United States and on up the East Coast, potentially. So, yes, we're going to be watching an active storm system, but as far as specifics like that, nothing to hang your hat on. There's huge differences between model runs and model to model. So yes, we're going to be watching that potential for more active weather in the first alert forecast. But as far as widespread winds or anything like that, Tanya, it's just a computer model, and even more than that, just one run of one computer model, and not an ensemble model, but an operational run, which is just a teeny tiny little piece of kind of the big data envelope, so to speak. But yeah, we're going to be watching, Tanya, storm system moving through, most likely as we get into early and middle portions of not this week, but next week, as far as this week is concerned, and I'll bring that 7-day forecast back up, primarily a Friday impact from the next line of rain, showers, and thunderstorms pushing through. And we'll have to watch, looks like Looks like on Friday we could be a little bit cooler, possibly with an earlier front arrival, but that is yet to be seen. If the front hangs out to the west and waits a little bit longer to push through, we'll be a little warmer Friday. If it moves through in the morning, like some data is suggesting, could be just a little bit cooler, and that would limit the severe weather risk. Tanya's saying there's some snow with it. Yeah, on that forecast model run, there certainly is. Others are not as excited. In fact, there are big differences between the 12Z run, Tanya, that you may have seen in the 18Z. They still have the same system. There's still some wintry weather across the region, but certainly also some differences between just two model runs. So nothing set in stone, nothing to be concerned with. Just casually know that weather could get busier once again as we get into the middle of not this week, next week. There's your 7-day forecast for this week in front of you right now. As far as rain and storms, the main impact appears to be Friday, St. Patrick's Day. So if you have plans, bookmark that day as the day in which weather could interrupt those plans. And then we're colder once again as we get the next Saturday, Sunday, another push of colder air settling back into North Georgia and metro Atlanta. And once again, gardeners could be dealing with some frost and freeze conditions. So don't put the freeze cloth, those blankets, away just yet, rather. Beverly Stewart saying cover them when referencing the azaleas. Yeah, you can certainly do that, but in reality, this is not a hard killing freeze. You know, there could be some bloom burn, some minor burn on the leaves there, but azaleas are a little hardier than some of the other things, but they could lose their blooms, but they would just bud and bloom once again. This is not a killing freeze, but Beverly, yeah, of course you can take the safe route, and sometimes it's better to be safe rather than sorry. Watering them, covering them, the soil conditions pretty wet now after this rain, and that will help kind of the root system as well. But covering them, as Beverly suggested there, Valerie, certainly not a bad idea. And let's lay out low temperatures. We'll talk about the trend here over the next few days. There is your 7-day forecast, but want to focus in on specifically focusing on low temperatures or minimum temperatures, or daily lows over the next several days. 42 tomorrow morning, but a brisk 42. That breeze is going to be blowing, so it'll feel like it's in the 30s as your kiddos go to the bus stop tomorrow, as you get out the door, head into the office tomorrow, take them to school maybe. It's going to be pretty chilly. Temperatures feeling like they're in the 30s, so the actual low in Atlanta at the airport, 42. First alert to our first cold morning Tuesday, but there will be more after that. Wednesday and Thursday, kind of the cold wave, so to speak, begins Monday night, Tuesday morning. I think the coldest morning by the numbers will be Wednesday morning, and then we start to warm back up a little bit, mid to upper 30s Thursday morning, 40s briefly Friday and Saturday mornings. Then it looks like we're back in the 30s, some colder air filtering back in as we get into Sunday, this coming Sunday morning, Monday morning, Tuesday morning. In fact, Tanya and others have mentioned what some forecast models are indicating, and that is another big storm system approaching the area as we get into next week. I'm at AtlantaNewsFirst.com right now. That's what you see on your screen. We're clicking on the First Alert Weather tab. Of course, you have your forecast and video forecast, in which we sent to the app earlier. But let's scroll down, and we'll click on 10-day. And yeah, we get cold and we stay kind of chilly through next Tuesday. And I actually, in the app, have edited the forecast out to next Wednesday. And we kind of keep it chilly and unsettled. We're not forecasting any wintry weather, but it does look like there will be another storm system, more active weather and impactful weather for sure, as we get into the early and middle portion of not this week, that's starting tomorrow, work week-wise, but the following work week. So something we're keeping an eye on. Just know, gardeners, we're not done with that frost and freeze risk after the next few days. Certainly this pattern will favor occasional kind of thumpings of cold air spilling out of Canada and into the central and eastern United States. Even the West Coast getting in on some of that. Some valley snow and some lowland snow. Scottsdale recently saw snow. Some of the valleys in California, not this latest storm system, but the one before that, seeing snow. And, of course, the mountains, big snow. So active weather pattern, occasional shots of cold air. Still in the first alert forecast, so a good idea to keep the freeze cloth and anything that you typically do use to protect your plants with out and ready to go here for the next several days. Again, on Facebook, Walter Edwards saying pneumonia weather, certainly it may stress the immune system a little bit, all this up and down, up and down, up and down. But in reality, this time of year, as long as you bundle up, should be okay. But I know allergies are bothering people, and sometimes sinus affections can evolve into something more serious. So Just that time of year, up and down roller coaster. And between the up and down, you get those chances of showers and thunderstorms. Today's risk of severe weather has ended. We're stuck with the pea soup this evening, though. As I mentioned earlier, we had a patch of drizzle move through, and now some slightly better visibility. Still, though, low clouds and some fog and patchy drizzle. And there's more on the way early this evening. We'll dry out tonight. Back to cold weather tomorrow. Breaking down the work week forecast once again, coming up here in just a few minutes, in about 36 minutes on Atlanta News First. We'll bring it to you live at AtlantaNewsFirst.com and the News app, weather app, Roku device, Amazon Fire, anywhere you are streaming this live weather forecast on Atlanta News First Plus. Atlanta News First will be back on Peachtree TV starting at 9 p.m., 10 o'clock hour as well, and then we'll see you for the half hour on Atlanta News First. Have a wonderful evening and stay warm this week.